Hi there, I'm Nikki Butler, the Autistic Joyologist. In this video, I wanted to share a little bit of information and background about me so we can get to know each other better. I was diagnosed autistic and ADHD in my mid-40s. Now, whilst it came as a huge shock to me, it also helped me make sense of my life and all of the experiences that I'd had up until that point. And I'd gone through my whole life always feeling as if I didn't quite fit in, I didn't seem to get it. I always felt like I was, one step behind everyone else and desperately trying to keep up. I stumbled through school and university and wondering how my friends and peers were able to seemingly put in very little work whilst I was squirreling away and getting some fairly average results. I grew up through education, receiving lots of feedback like, I was easily distracted. I had a nickname of Dolly Daydream, and that I could apply myself and do really great things when I wanted to, but I was just a bit too lazy in other areas. One of my favourite comments from school was that I was arrogant, but they didn't think I meant to be, and that was from one of the teachers. And looking back through school reports and the experiences that I've had and really learning to understand my own autism and ADHD has really helped me to make sense of why things had been so difficult. And the reason I stepped out as the Autistic Joyologist was because when I was diagnosed, so many things hit me. The fact that there was such little understanding and acceptance of autism and ADHD, particularly for females, really struck me. As I started to share my diagnosis with people around me, I received a lot of comments like, "You don't look autistic, I wouldn't have said you've got ADHD." And people would question me and say, well, if you are actually autistic and ADHD. And that was really invalidating. And for someone that had struggled to fit in and have a sense of belonging my entire life, when I tried to share the real me, the fact I was autistic and ADHD, and that was rejected, that felt like an incredibly bitter sting and made me withdraw. But it did light a fire under me for realising the need for huge changes and shifts to be made in terms of the stereotypes that still exist around what autism and ADHD are, and the fact that they have a look, because they don't. And it's about opening society's eyes to having a true understanding of what living as an autistic ADHDer is really like. And I really believe that we all have our own unique experiences, and whilst we may have many attributes or characteristics or traits, whatever you want to call them, that are similar for our autism and ADHD, the way that we experience them and they show up in our lives is going to be so incredibly unique. It is a spectrum, and I personally believe that there are many factors that play into how we experience our own autism and ADHD in daily lives. And I certainly know that having made some very distinct and vast changes since my diagnosis, I know that there are elements that I have the ability to control and manage that make my life so much easier. And so I really wanted to step out as the Autistic Joyologist to be able to raise awareness, to create a different narrative around what being autistic and ADHD looks like, what it means to live and experience life in a society that isn't really designed for us. And I really wanted to flip the narrative from negative to positive, because maybe this will resonate with you, but I spent so much of my life ashamed of who I was, focusing on the areas that I believed I was incapable at. And had you met me pre-diagnosis, I would have told you I was rubbish at adulting. I would have told you that I felt like I'd lived my life in a pinball machine, ricocheting from one moment of chaos to the next, never really knowing what was going on. I would have told you that I desperately wanted to fit in and belong and didn't know how to. And I never thought I'd find that sense of peace in myself. The focus was so much on what I wasn't doing well and what I was incapable of. And I believe that came from childhood, from the feedback from teachers of needing to try harder, like paying more attention, being capable but not putting my mind to things. There's research that shows that by the age of 12, for those of us that are ADHD, we have received on average 20,000 additional pieces of negative feedback than a child that doesn't have ADHD. And by the age of 7 or 8, for neurodivergent children, our confidence and self-esteem is already knocked. We already feel like we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, we're not lovable enough. And that for me has carried through my whole adult life. And I always get choked, desperately want to make sure that our next generations don't experience this. I want to make sure that they don't grow up feeling like they're not good enough and focusing only on the belief that they are failing in some way or they are broken in some way, because I know what it's like to live with that belief. And I'm not going to re-record this in a perfect way where I'm not emotional about it, because this is why it's so important to me, that it would break my heart to know that through sharing stories, I have the ability to be a voice and a catalyst for change. And if I didn't do that, I don't think I would forgive myself. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm showing up. I want to speak out. I want to change the narrative. I want to smash apart those outdated stereotypes. I want to help myself and you and other women like us to feel empowered and to be strengths focused and to be able to set our lives up in a way that work for us to deeply understand our strengths and the skills that being autistic and ADHD can bring us, and to create a supportive environment for the areas that we find difficult or challenging, and to be able to ask for that support without apology, and to release the shame that we may have lived with for so many decades. And I don't want that for any of us anymore. So I really hope that through sharing my stories and connecting with you, that we get to be part of a generation that celebrates and appreciates how amazing we are. I hope we get to change the narrative, to smash apart the stereotypes, to show what's possible, to inspire each other and to inspire others and the next generation. And I'd love to connect with you. I'd love to hear your stories. I know that we can make a difference together, and all of the resources that I share, all of the information that I share is designed with that purpose in mind of showcasing what we're really capable of, changing the narrative, smashing apart the stereotypes, enlightening and enhancing our experiences and creating a much better future for generations to come. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I'm sorry about the crying. Actually, I'm not sorry. I'm not going to re-record it and be perfect, because this is the reality. This is what's driving me forward. And for a quiet, introverted, shy girl from Hampshire, it means so much to me to be able to step out and do this, and I can't wait to connect with you all more. Have a great day.